Footage like this of accused killer Bryan Kohberger,
State of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger,
could soon be banned if the judge grants the defense's request to bar all cameras from the courtroom. But this latest legal move, backed by the prosecution, is against the wishes of at least one of the victims' families.
We're all for truth, transparency, the cameras being in there and letting the community decide.
Kaylee Gonzalez's father says banning cameras from the proceedings could fuel online rumors and misinformation.
It's chaos on the internet. It's chaos all over the world. And I'm done with that.
In a 7-page motion, Kohberger's attorneys claim camera crews have ignored a 2-month-old court directive to stay wide on the entire courtroom and to not focus exclusively on Kohberger, pointing to examples of what the defense claims are blatant violations of that directive that were later published alongside sensationalistic and prejudicial headlines. The prosecution siding with the defense, arguing it's concerned that camera coverage will have a substantial chilling effect on the ability of witnesses to testify, while noting certain witnesses have already been subjected to threats and harassment. Facing 4 first-degree murder charges in the stabbing deaths of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle, Kohberger officially waived his right to a speedy trial at a hearing late last month, pushing his October 2nd trial date back indefinitely.
Some delays are to be expected in murder trials simply because the stakes are so high.
For Kaylee's family, every day without justice is agonizing.
When you ask for the victims of murder children to just shut up for extended periods of time, and you say that you're not going to give justice for perhaps years, it's not acceptable.
NBC News has joined a coalition of media organizations that have filed what's called a motion to intervene to oppose Kohberger's request to ban courtroom cameras. In its filing, the coalition argues that so far, media organizations have followed the court's existing direction and have not focused exclusively on footage or close-ups of Bryan Kohberger. That motion expected to be a part of today's hearing. Guys.
All right, Erin, thank you. I want to turn now to NBC senior legal correspondent and co-anchor of Saturday Today, Laura Jarrett. So, Laura, here you have two sides actually agreeing that they don't want cameras in the courtroom. You have a couple of families saying they do. What's the judge likely to do in this case?
I think the judge is likely to shut it down because most importantly, the judge is balancing all the different interests. Obviously, the public has a right to transparency and people want to know what's going on and believe in the system. But most importantly, that judge has to protect his right to a fair trial. And of course, the prosecutors are worried about creating an issue on appeal. And so if, in fact, later on down the line, another court says actually cameras shouldn't have been there, the prosecutors are going to worry that the whole case could fall apart. And I don't think they want to risk that.
Meanwhile, the trial was supposed to start a few weeks from now, October 2nd, I believe. Kohberger's waived his right to a speedy trial, so it looks like there's going to be quite the delay here. When there's a delay in a murder trial like this, does that typically benefit the prosecution or does it benefit the defense?
It only benefits the defense, right? And this is sometimes a tactic you see defense lawyers use because think about it. Memories fade, evidence can, get spoiled in some way. And so the defense obviously wants to push this out as far as they can. They're not going to be able to push it forever, but that October date is clearly not going to stick. And in reality, in a murder case, a year is not unusual for a case to take to build. But obviously, the prosecutors want this to go as soon as possible. Because remember, there are surviving witnesses who were in that house who were prepared to testify in this case.
Another reason the prosecution says cameras aren't a great idea for some of those vulnerable witnesses. Yeah. Laura, thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.